Hi guys, so if you've clicked on this video, basically what I'm going to be doing is just answering some of the questions that I got on Instagram. So I put a story out just asking people to reply with any questions they may have about my art and my process, things like that. So I'm just going to answer the ones that I received. And yeah, if you want to follow my Instagram, it is at Cribby Art and all the links, blah blah blah, yada yada, you know the deal.
You are like a flower and you've been inside the soil for too long. You have got the power to take charge, but first remember to be strong and just grow, babe.
I don't tend to really follow specific artists more than I just do with specific works, if that makes sense. Like I prefer just taking each piece individually rather than one set artist. But yeah, I'd say my main inspirations being like Basquiat and Picasso, and then yeah, just some cool abstract and neo-expressionist abstract expressionists. Question I got next is very similar, but I do have a different answer. So it's my favorite artist currently, and right now I have a bunch of artists who I'm obsessed with, so I'll do a big list, but my number one at the moment has been, I believe her name's Dahlia Raz. I hope I'm pronouncing right because I've only just discovered her recently, but she is so inspirational to me because basically her whole kind of ethos is on shit art is better than no art. So it's a really kind of a motivational way to just think about creating, to not put that pressure to make anything good, because making something is better than making nothing. So I really like that. The next question I received, your favorite colors to work with in digital. So it's a really kind of specific question, and I do have specific answers, but I will need to insert the exact code here because I do have specific answers. But this really bright, well, any brights as a whole, but to get specific, there's this really bright lime green that I love working with, and a really deepish hot pink that's kind of on the redder side of the pinks. Love that, big fan. But in general, I love working with greens, pinks, blues, orange. They're Okay, so another question I received is how do you approach reworking older unfinished pieces? So this is something I do really often because I don't really like wasting canvases and art materials, but there's a lot of things that I created a few years back and I just kind of lost the motivation with them, or I just don't like them anymore, or I've realized I just have a better use for this canvas. And how I rework them is basically I kind of just treat it like it's a blank canvas. I don't go over in white or anything like that. I don't try and make it fresh. I treat what's already there as the canvas itself. So if there's already a figure on it, okay, what am I gonna make around that? Sure, I can cover bits up, but it's working with what's already there as though it couldn't be changed. I don't know, does that make sense? I'll put in some examples because, if I can find any. A lot of the times, more often than not, you get these peaks of what was there shining through because I was like, okay, well, this eye is, really nice or really different. I'm going to keep that there and work around that. But if there's anything in there that's striking, that's worth me not just, painting it, let's start fresh, let's paint it all over white. If there's anything there that I'm like, okay, I can work with this, then I will. Okay, most challenging pieces to finish. This is definitely the large scale. I do work pretty large scale most of the time. So I've done a couple of pieces that are 6-7 feet tall. They're so hard to finish because it's if say something like this takes 10 hours. So stuff like that, especially when it's mixed media, you're looking at a lot of different resources and things you need to get for that. So once you kind of take a step back or you work on something else to get the motivation again is really difficult. Actually, I have 3 that like of a similar size, and the one that's the closest to completion is years old and it's nearly there, but I've not worked on it in a couple of years. I do intend to finish it in my lifetime. So favourite media to work with, I mean, it's always been oil paint. Oil paint's really, you know, you can keep working with it. It's not like acrylic where it immediately dries and it's stuck. I like that you can have a few days to kind of change stuff. It doesn't dry immediately. And then it also creates this really like nice textured pieces, which I always like, you know, a big like chunky textured, something that feels nice. It's kind of more interactive. And it's also got quite a nice glossy kind of finish when it's done. But recently outside of paints, I've been getting so into my ceramics. I wouldn't say I'm like amazing. I wouldn't say I'm like particularly good or anything, but in terms of enjoyability and my kind of where all my spare time's going to at the moment has been with clay. I just love it. I think it's the fact of kind of creating something that then has purpose at the end. Just feels really rewarding. As well as properly like using your hands. Like obviously when you're painting, yeah, you're using your hands to hold the paintbrush, but it's not like finger painting that I do anyway. So it's not as in touch with what you're making. So yeah, I think that's something about ceramics that I really enjoy. And I think that's going to be kind of an interesting theme that's kind of, I think it will probably be noticed in history about this kind of time period, about, you know, making things with purpose again. I think this whole like, you know, lockdown inspiring people to do things like bake and kind of not fend for themselves, like, but in a way, I guess, you know what I mean? Just like, I think it's making people appreciate function and design, you know, just as much. Whereas, you know, maybe beforehand people would go a bit more style over substance. I just think it's kind of an interesting development. This could just be me projecting because that's what I found in myself. But I think it will be interesting to kind of look back on this time and see if that's a general trend or whether that was just me. Another question I got a couple of times is, where do you typically find your inspiration? So I get inspiration from a lot of places. I'd say my main kind of themes that, you know, places I've derived inspiration from are things like drag and that kind of gender non-conforming culture, and things like the club kids from like the 80s and 90s, heavily inspired, you know, beautiful women and people who've had like lots of plastic surgery and Bratz dolls and nature and fashion and colours and the sky. I don't know, I can just get inspired by anything, like even my own dreams like will inspire me sometimes. Not to sound pretentious. Did that sound pretentious? I hope it didn't, because I just mean like I'll have like a crazy dream and be like, oh shit, I need to make something about this. That's all I meant. What have your greatest learning curves been? So I would say recently it's been more of like the business aspect of things, because I've only just recently started to like really try to monetize my art. So this has been a big learning curve. I'm not business minded at all. I was struggling to know like what to charge, to know how to set up a website, to know how to make a brand, to know how to promote that. And I'm still really struggling, so it's a learning curve I'm still really trying to, you know, get over. So this is, where do you want Cribby art to be in 2021? So in 2021, I want to have made a profit. That's like my main goal. It's one of my resolutions. Another thing is I want to expand my kind of collection. I want to have t-shirts, more prints, ceramics, and what's the word? Candles. Yeah. So recently the goal is to get into candle making as well. So I got a set off my boyfriend for Christmas, which was lovely. So yeah, watch out for for Cribby candles 2021. So what got you into making art? I don't know. I honestly can't tell you. I was never really good at it. And then we had to pick GCSEs and I just picked it. I don't know I don't know why I picked it. And then I hated it and it made me feel like shit because I felt so untalented and that everyone was so much better than me. And then I don't even know what happened, but I just suddenly learned to love it. Oh, you know, there was this one, it's coming back to me. So there was this one piece I made and that was the turning point for me, and it's literally, I can't believe that I'm just remembering this now. So it was called Blue Boobs. If I can find a picture, I will put it in. And I remember making this piece and I was so proud of it, and it was like stylized. You can kind of see where I've got my current style from when you look at that piece, because it's so kind of quintessential me, but done at like 14, 15, something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love art now. And then I just kept doing it. Another one, what new mediums do you want to explore? I feel like I've pretty much like tackled that at the moment, but one I haven't mentioned because this is like a future goal, because I don't want to take on too many things at once. I feel like I've already got eggs in several baskets. But I do want to get into rug making, like way in the future, and maybe like making furniture. But this is, again, future goals because we're just focusing on 2021 for now, taking each day as it comes. And yeah, and then the last of these are just biggest art inspirations and what inspires your work. And I feel like I've kind of answered that, you know, everything, music, film, life. So that was all the questions that I received on my art account. If you have like any others that you kind of interest you or you want to know more about, just comment down below, ask them on my Instagram, whatever. Like I'm an open book, I'll answer anything. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, hit subscribe, all of that. My art account's down below. My website's down below if you're interested in purchasing some prints. I also have a zine and some candlelight holders at the moment, and there will be more to follow soon. I'll be doing a restock probably towards the end of the month. So thank you for watching, and yeah, that's been me. I don't know how to end it, so I'm just gonna put something on here.
I'm feeling so sad and blue, so here's what I'm gonna do. Gonna fire out a reason or two that I'm so in love with you. And you're the coolest girl in the class, and you got the fattest ass, and you're my favorite artist, you know. Gon' cook yourself a Van Gogh. Her style, it is so fresh, and her homemade milk's the best, and her hair is like the rainbow. I really hate that she's in pain, though. She is a little G, love stronger than George and Lenny. Thank you, Lois 6G. Thank you, Mr. Kelly. It's Kirby, that's Kirby, oh, so Kirby. So Kirby, oh, it's Kirby. That's Kirby, oh, so Kirby. That's Kirby.